Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi. How are you?
Boost is not allowing. There.
Good evening, Don.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Just walked in the door just a second.
Oh, well, I just drove up from Maryland today. Made it in time. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Hey everyone,
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, a little tired, but I'm good.
Record reaction, start video. There I am. Hello, folks.
Well,
Miss Riddle, you have a big glare on you.
I know I have a sun flare. That's okay. It'll go away as the sun moves.
Hello, Miss Emily.
Hey Al, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Emily, I got mistaken for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If someone had never seen either of us off Zoom before, I guess.
Glasses and dark hair.
There you go. That's what I said.
Wonder where Carl is.
I think he said he would miss some or all of the meeting.
Carl did?
Unless
Yeah,
I
he emailed.
misread. Yep. About an hour ago, Jackie.
Oh. He didn't tell me. I don't think.
Missing our fearless leader, Carl.
Anna, did you say Carl is not going to be here?
Correct. He sent an email and he said he's on the road and he may miss some or all of the meeting.
Huh. Okay. Who wants to chair?
Nominate Jackie.
I have to take minutes. I nominate Al.
I second Al's nomination.
All opposed, raise their both hands. All in favor? Jackie and Don,
Go ahead, Al.
welcome aboard.
You'll notice that the first thing on the agenda is election of the vice chair. Because Carl's going to be gone for 5 or 6 weeks. So I nominate Al.
Second that.
Do we have to call the meeting to order first?
We have to have somebody call the meeting to order, I guess. I'll call the meeting to order. How about that?
Secretary has called the meeting to order. It sounds like I got voted in as holding the seat tonight. Approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Any
Make motion to approve.
Any changes anybody had? Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Who
Have to-
moved? Don, did you move?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don
I did.
Okay,
And Ann seconded.
okay.
Voice vote, Jackie, you approve the
Yes.
minutes? Yes, Don?
Yes,
Yes.
And
Yes.
Sarah, I don't think you get to vote, do you? Are you on the committee? You're just sitting in?
Yeah, I
It's
don't
you.
vote.
Unanimous.
okay.
On to the marijuana ordinance. Anybody have any comments, suggestions, changes?
I went over I was looking through my stuff today and I had not evidently looked through some of Bob Fonz's stuff. So I added some of his stuff to the ordinance, mainly about the definition of well, there was one definition and then 16 transferability of licenses. I copied what Bob had for that. Did anybody have other changes?
I didn't have anything.
I like 16, what you added. That makes sense that they have to come and get a new license. That makes total sense to me.
And also if they don't, well, oh, one was the definition of person, I think. So it would include corporations or partnerships. And then there was something about if revoking a license. If it's revoked, you can't apply for 3 years or forfeit the license. And any other fees paid. Anybody else have anything?
I have a few small things. I thought we were doing ordinances for adult use and medical marijuana, not just for adult use.
Right.
So I think we need a few edits to reflect that, including the name of the ordinance.
Okay.
I ran out of time to do research. Do the updated tier sizes now match what's listed in the state law for canopy size?
Say that again, please.
Okay, so we have the tier sizes for grows listed based on the square footage of the plant canopy.
What page are you on?
Let me see where that was.
I think it's on page 4.
That's a number of,
But I think, Anna, you're talking about the square footage for each tier, correct?
Yes, I
It's
am.
listed there. Yeah, so it's in
Yeah,
that
it's
chart,
on
Jackie.
page 4.
okay.
On page 13 as well.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure because I didn't have time to check for myself. Originally, the numbers that we had in there were larger than what was actually allowed by the state. And I'm just curious if anyone remembers if we adjusted the size of the tiers to match the size of the tiers that the state has listed in their laws.
I don't remember talking about it.
I remember you saying that the numbers were wrong. Now it's in the part that's in red,
Mhm.
that was copied from, that was what I added since last time. And I,
Came from Damascotta, I believe.
yeah,
Okay, because I think before we'd copied it from another town and the other town had it listed incorrectly. So we should probably just double check that and make sure it matches the state. And I
Right.
see that Susan Johns has her hand raised.
Thank you very much. I apologize, but it sounds like you guys all have some draft of multiple pages or something that I don't have. I might have gotten a much, much earlier one, but I know Jackie's referencing things that are much newer than anything that
I'll
I
send it,
received.
I'll send it to you right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So you want that check to see if it conforms to the state. I was also surprised when I read through it on page 8. Top of page 8, all marijuana stores, marijuana products, manufacturing facilities and testing facilities must have frontage on Route 1. That won't allow us to get somebody to come along and want to build a building in an industrial area that's not open to the public, that's just for growing something. Which to me, that was the goose that laid the golden egg, is we get somebody come along and build a building and then we collect property taxes plus fees. And they're growing something in a building that isn't open to the public and has nothing to do with anything other than it's something paying its taxes and employing some people. And if it has to be on Route 1, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't disagree with the store or the same thing with testing. Why does testing have to be on Route 1?
Originally, when we first drafted it, not knowing what anybody wanted, I just put everything on Route 1 because that's where I would want it and everybody can change it. But I had to start somewhere. The last time we talked about it, we had everything on Route 1 and part on Gardner Road, but I don't know where on Gardner Road would be allowed.
Well, that's why Cole made the overlays of 1,000 feet and 500 feet and 2,000 feet to see where it would be permissible. Because it just, like I say, it doesn't make sense to me that you're only allowing, and I'm not, I think it just limits what the town can make on it. To me, like I said, the golden goose is somebody comes along and wants to build a building that's 15,000 feet or 10,000 feet and grow stuff in a building that's designed to grow it. And well, then the town has a building that's paying taxes for the property, for not only the land, but for the building, and it's employing people. And I don't think that'll happen on Route 1. It's just the real estate doesn't make economic sense to do that.
What would you suggest?
I don't mind seeing retail with frontage on Route 1, but I think you have to allow along Route 27 where it's legal, where the zoning isn't for the in town and where it isn't for the historic. But once you get past those districts, from there out to the town line where it doesn't conflict with the 1,000 feet from the schools or the 1,000 feet from churches, I think you should be allowed to do something on that road because it's a road in and out of the town that is basically commercial or I'm not sure of the zoning. If Paulie, he would nail you with what the zoning is. But, that's just my personal thought, that we're limiting what the town can get out of it if it's just restricted to Route 1.
Okay, what about just restricting retail to Route 1?
I have no objection to that.
I agree with that, Jackie. That was actually my understanding of what we had talked about, but I might have missed something.
About using 27 also.
Yep, just
Yeah.
not for retail.
But I don't know exactly where on Route 27.
Well, we have to go out from Route 1 to wherever all the local districts end. And then once it ends and you get past 1,000 feet from the high school and from the church,
Yeah.
I think then you're wide open from there, I believe, to the town line, but I don't know that. You also have to, I think everybody
As
wants me.
As long as you have the piece in there about the 1,000 feet or whatever it is, why do you have to then say
Hey, I'm in
more
the middle of
than
a Zoom meeting. I'll call you when I get done.
Route 1 or Route 27?
Thanks,
I don't know why
thanks.
you would have to demarcate that as well.
Say that again?
If you have the part in there about how far it has to be from the whole list of things, schools, churches, etc.,
Right.
why do you have to be more specific than saying along Route 27 or along Route 1? I don't know why you have to put a beginning and end point if you already
Oh,
I
have
think you'd want
those.
to, I think you'd want to
restrictions.
do it by zoning district though, because Route 1 obviously goes through the village. So you would say, it's allowed in the commercial, on a commercial property on Route 1 and Gardner Road. It is not allowed, it's prohibited in Village 1, Village 2. So I just put the zoning map in the chat. So you can kind of see where the different districts are. But I would think you'd want to reference whatever land use zone you're allowing each of these uses in. So if you're, for example, thinking that you could have testing facilities in the rural district, you would want to state that on here with, like Sarah said, the restriction that it would still be superseded, that if there's for some reason a school or a daycare center in the rural district, that 1,000-foot setback would supersede just, being a rural property.
Yeah, I think the zoning makes sense to me. I was thinking more, I didn't think we had to get down to like street level, this street to this street, like.
Basically, when I said 27, I didn't know which zone it was, but that's what I was talking. Once you get past the zones that are restricted to the historic and the residential, and add in the 1,000 feet from the churches and the schools, they could do it anywhere, I believe, along that. And the same thing would apply on Route 1. It can't be within the restricted districts, and then it's got to be 1,000 feet from whatever else exists along Route 1, or within the 1,000 feet off of Route 1, which I don't know if there's anything that exists off of Route 1 that would affect Route 1.
Okay, so what I think I'm hearing based on the zoning map is we want to allow retail in the commercial zone, and we want to allow the other uses in the rural zone. And no matter what zone they're in, they cannot be within 1,000 feet of the types of businesses that we specified.
Not
Or not
businesses, but
businesses,
institutions,
yeah,
churches and schools,
institutions.
and yeah.
I think that would, well, I've lost my thing here.
So
Wouldn't
in
that,
looking, sorry, Jackie.
well, I was just gonna say, if you do, there are probably other residential areas where this would fit in if you do it that way, if you don't do it by Route 1 and Gardner Road. If you say in the rural zone.
No, within the rural zones on Route 1 and commercial zones on Route 1, and within the rural zones and commercial zones on Route 27, past the historic zones and past the residential zones at the, I don't know what you would call it, but at the end of Route 1, at the end of 27, that abuts Route 1, I would think just because of Howard lays out, you're not gonna be able to do anything until you get 1,000 feet past the high school, but I may be wrong. Which is why he might have put that read on there, but I don't know that. Anybody have an opinion on that?
I like it. It ought to be by zone, I think. Because there's some zones, a historical zone in the towns, the downtown area, people aren't gonna want it there.
No, that's been excluded. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
That whole entire downtown area, like from the water, probably almost to Holbrook Pond, I
mhm.
think falls within that zone. And that same zone goes out onto 27 part of the way, and then when you come back 1,000 feet from the rec center and the high school, you've eliminated that whole core area of the town from it right off the bat. And then it would only be allowed in areas that are zoned rural and commercial that are more than 1,000 feet from a school, a church, a municipal building.
But is it still on Route 1 and Route 27?
I believe so. I don't
Okay,
think,
that's what
I
I'm-
don't think it was discussed for anywhere other than those
No,
two
no.
places. Emily, is that legal to do it that way?
I would think so. So I'm looking at the zoning map and Gardner Road, the first part of it, when you're, in town heading onto Gardner Road, one half of it is zoned rural, the other is in the village 2 district. And then it gets into everything zoned rural in that area. So if you're looking to restrict it to these two kind of main thoroughfares, you would want to have it be both, commercial on Route 1, because I think that's everything on Route 1 is commercial from the
I
town
think-
line
I
to,
think part of Route 1 is also rural. That's why I would check that.
it doesn't,
I'm,
I'm looking
I'm,
at this on a,
Sarah,
laptop
it's strictly
screen, but-
commercial the whole way.
That's what
I
it
don't
looks
have
like from the
in front of me.
map.
If I have the map, I can't see you, and the map's not big enough. For me to see. I'm getting old, I need a bigger map. But I would think that basically, once you get past that downtown area, anything goes on Route 1.
Can you guys see my screen okay? I just.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, yes.
Oh, thank you.
So I'll start from. Sorry, I'm trying to do this without a mouse. I'm just using my little pad on my laptop here. So you can see we start in Woolwich and here's Route 1. And it looks like the properties that immediately abut Route 1 are in commercial, which is that orange district. And then as you get really into town, this starts to be Village 2, this light like lavender color.
Yep.
And then you can see this is the main downtown. So the darker purple is Village 2. And then heading up Gardner Road, you can see that this lavender shade is that Village 2 on Gardner Road. And then the white is all rural. So the rest of Gardner Road going all the way up is in the rural district. So I think, Al, your comments about, making 27 or at least portions of it allowed, you would have to say, properties on Gardner Road that are in the rural district could be used for, you could specify, because whatever you put in this ordinance, you're also going to have to update the land use ordinance to say in the table of uses, what is allowed, in that it's prohibited in Village 1 and 2, allowed in, the commercial district, and then, in the rural district, it would be, permitted with an asterisk, and then in the notes section, it would say on route properties that abut Route 27. If that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah,
The only thing that concerns me is at the lower end of your map, Emily, where it was on the left side where it was white, it's pretty close to the downtown. You wanted to, and again, because you're saying 1,000 feet, move your map up just a drop.
Where am I
Yeah,
on?
this pie in here is this is 27. So what concerns me is this little piece right in here. This is like where the town hall is and stuff.
Mhm.
This is rural, and you wouldn't want to have something right in this you'd want to be the 1,000 feet, but again, if you're 1,000 feet off, I think that'll bring you within 1,000 feet coming down from the school, so that'll protect that area from having it that close to town.
I think it would also be protected. So if you read on page 8D setbacks, it says marijuana businesses may not be located on property within 1,000 feet of the property line of a school, pre-existing childcare facility, place of worship, a municipal safe zone, ball field, or a municipal building. So I think it would, you'd
that-
also be
that's
measuring
good.
1,000 feet from the town office,
Okay,
but we could clarify that.
yeah, I think once you get past that purple on the right, you shouldn't have it on the left either in that slice of
Yeah.
Route 27.
And then actually a question I had for everyone is when we state a municipal building, are we talking about any municipal building? So, you know, the community center, does the county courthouse count? Because it's, you know, it's not a Wiscasset building, but it is a municipal building. Any other town-owned properties, or do we have to specify in the definitions of what we mean by municipal building?
When I put municipal building in there, I was thinking of the town office.
Okay.
I don't know whether the courthouse would be considered a municipal building. It's a county building.
Mhm.
I
I mean, I think
we
it's
have
still
to-
within that 1,000 feet because it's diagonally across the street from the town office, but the community center is owned by the town. So is that considered?
It's
A
next
municipal
to the high
building.
school, so it's a moot point.
That's true.
Yeah, same, I mean, same with the courthouse in terms of it's next to the church, so.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking too is the jail considered a municipal building? Because that's off Route 1. And would that setback affect it?
I think they're not gonna be customers or whatever's out there if they're in the jail. I don't think. we
I'm more
have to
just
worry-
thinking in terms of,
Old school thing.
and maybe I'm being nitpicky, but just wondering like what we mean.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, but, it is surrounded by a lot of fences. Don, you got a smile on your face.
That's old school thinking. But I think the rural areas, for anybody that wants to do any cultivation, that's where they're gonna do it. They're gonna do
Yeah.
it away from the main roads, I think. The dispensaries, the testing labs, if they want to set up, they're gonna want to be someplace where it's easy to get in and out of. So they'll probably want to go more towards Route 1, I'm thinking. But I think that in the application, the people can say where they would like it to be and for what reason, and explain that, and maybe it can be justified as
See,
to where they want to go.
I would
Maybe
think,
there's an empty building someplace that somebody wants to use.
well, I was thinking they might want to test where they grow. But you don't want to sell where they grow. You know, you're not gonna necessarily want to sell where you grow. That's where Route 1 comes in, where it should be, you know, it's commercial and there's a lot of traffic there. But I don't see why testing would be only allowed on Route 1, because to me, testing is back office stuff. It's not,
That's right.
you're not
That's right.
advertising that you're a testing facility on the building.
And I think anybody that does testing that has a lab, they're gonna want to be in a location that's got more central popularity to it, where people, as the labs in Portland, in the bigger communities where they have more of a chance of drawing people into their business. Somebody here in Wiscasset that sets up a lab, well, maybe that'll happen. But where are the people going to come from for a lab?
From wherever they
That's-
grow it, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, and how many growers are there around? Where are the majority of the growers? From my understanding, some of the labs more so are down in Portland and in Augusta area, in the bigger cities. So I mean, like, yeah, I don't see a problem with doing that. You know, letting the labs go out into the rural areas and with the cultivation out there too, and any dispensaries. Of course, they're going to want to be along Route 1 or 27, I think, where you have the traffic. So, and stipulating that in the ordinance, I don't see a problem with that. Letting the people decide where they want to do it. Maybe somebody will come in and want to build a building.
So that's what I'm hoping for, because then you got revenue coming to the
That's
town.
right. Yeah. Anyway, my 2 cents worth.
Emily, do you have any other suggestions, corrections?
Yeah, I have some questions and some thoughts, if you can humor me. So on page 5, under 10, application, it says applicants shall pay a non-refundable deposit of 10% of their license fee upon submission of their application. The applicant shall pay the balance of the license fee at the time the license is issued. Applicants shall have 90 days to complete their application to submit it to the town. And if they wish to extend that 90-day period, they can do so by paying for their license fee in full. So I just want to make sure I understand this. Are you essentially paying for a fee to then get an application to fill out the application rather than filing your application along with an application fee?
Sounds like you're asking 10% when they take the application out.
Right. So when you go in to get the application form from the town office, you pay 10% of your fee just to get that form to then fill it out in 90 days and submit it back. Okay.
That's the way I read it.
Can we discuss that? Is now a good time to discuss whether we want that or not?
Sure. That's
Okay.
what we're here for.
Okay, amazing. Well, I didn't know if it was a better process to let Emily read through everything that she had and then come back, or if we should discuss as we go.
I think it makes sense to discuss as we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. I would lean towards keeping it more simple and standardized and just have people pay the full fee when they turn in their application. But I'm also open to hearing reasoning why we chose to have the 10% upfront.
I think that came from where we got a lot of this from one of the other towns or from two of the.
Right.
They were worried about so many people applying up front for a lottery, which doesn't seem to be an issue at this point.
No,
Mm.
I personally have no objection to just having them pay the full fee when they turn the application in. I think the reason behind that was they were afraid they would have, 50 applications for the retail.
so it should be the applicants that shall pay a non-refundable deposit in full. of their
That's
license
correct.
fee. Right,
Right.
okay.
Wait, Jackie, I'm not sure about a deposit when to get the form though. I think maybe it's more simple if we just treat it like any other application fee where you submit your application and you pay the application fee along with submitting the form.
I agree. It's an application fee and it comes in full with the application. You can always go in and ask for a blank application. But when you turn the application in, and basically you go in and ask for a blank application, I don't think you need to put a 90-day limit on when they can come back with it. Whenever they turn it in, they turn it in. Again, the Damascata was originally worried about having 50 applications and they didn't want them dribbling and drabbing in, and they figured they wanted to have them all at one time. I don't think we're in that situation.
Okay, so do you want to just eliminate that whole paragraph? Applicants shall pay a non-refundable deposit?
I
And
think
the
you would instead change it to the application fee would be paid in full at the time of submission
The
of the
submission of
application material,
application.
or something along those lines.
right,
And you
well,
might even be able to take it, Jackie, from similar language from like the site plan standards where it says that an applicant needs to submit the application fee at the time of application submission.
Is that non-refundable, the application fee?
Yes, non-refundable. Once they give it to the town, it belongs to the town. We're
Okay,
now
so
investigating.
if their application doesn't get approved, that's like in some cases, from what I'm seeing from the amount of money, I think people would be awful hard to chunk, send out a big chunk of money, and not knowing for sure that their application is going to be approved.
Well, you can set it as an application fee and a license fee. And when the application is approved, they pay a license fee.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, so for
And-
example, Don, there's some towns that have, I think it's maybe a $250 or a $500 application fee, and then the license fee is that much higher number.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now when we're talking about all these fees, what about site plan review? We're gonna have a fee for that also?
If they want to be in the business, you listen, nothing's cheap these days. You
No, I
wanna go-
know it, but I'm just trying to figure out if any of these, if the application fee covers the site plan review.
I would think it would be separate. It's
Okay.
similar in like a business license, because don't you have to pay for a business license application? Is that the case?
At
So-
this moment, for certain licenses in the town, you pay and certain licenses are free.
Okay. Because what I was thinking is when you go to a site plan, if you need a business license in addition to your site plan review, it's two separate fees, which this would be somewhat similar.
I think it's two separate fees, and honestly, it's the real world. You wind up paying, we're very lucky. We haven't paid a lot of fees up until now in the area, but in the real world, you pay fees for everything.
Okay, so we're gonna have,
And we may have to lower the application fee, raise the license fee. It's a matter of, we haven't set the numbers, though, from what I've been told up until now, the selectmen set the numbers. We can make recommendations what we think, but I think they pay like $250 to apply no matter what happens. And then if it's approved, I'm not sure how many thousands of dollars it is, but then they have to pay that.
okay,
Anybody agree or disagree?
I agree.
okay, so we can just cut out that whole paragraph, right? And then, well, wait a minute. Okay, at the end of this first sentence in the second paragraph, the applicant shall have 90 days to complete their application and submit it to the town with a fee of $250. Is that what we're saying?
I think I just
think-
threw that number out as an example.
Yeah, but I don't think they have 90 days. If they come and get an application, whenever they turn it in, they turn it in with the application fee.
Right, that's what I said, I think.
I don't think there's a 90-day, time period there. It's, hey, I want an application, I turn it in, and I don't turn it in.
Okay,
By the time I turn it in, 4 other people have turned theirs in and the board is acting on it, tough.
so should we say applicants shall submit to the town, submit
An application along.
an
with-
application
with
plus their,
application fee, with application fee of X number of dollars.
okay, should we do 250?
Do we know what the range is for the other business licenses in town?
No,
Or it's similar to Anna's question, would the fee be set by the selectmen and may change from time to time? So maybe we don't put the $250 in, we put
okay,
based on the fee schedule, because I know you just had
Be-
similar ordinance changes where you
Yeah.
amended that to say just based on,
I said X dollars when I said it. My real thought was fee to be set by selectmen, because that seems to be most things that we go through on the committee wind up with just the framework, and the selectmen pick the number to go in it.
okay,
We
I
can
like
certainly
that.
make a recommendation, but it's not it's not set in stone.
Based on the fee schedule.
Yeah. Based on what the selectmen choose, to be honest with you, there isn't a set fee schedule for things, I don't believe. They've assigned different numbers for junkyards and alcohol and things like that.
will the selectmen also set the license fee?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
So I think the language that Damascotta used is it just says based on the fee schedule. And then the select people go through and they can adjust the fee schedule however they see fit.
So any money we have in here, really, basically we take out.
We just have to say to be determined by selectmen.
Right, okay. What else?
Emily, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right, the next one is on the same page, we talk about a town appointed officer. We don't define that anywhere in here. Do we have an
Yeah,
idea of who the town appointed officer is, or is that coming from the select board?
That's why I put down here is the town appointed officer, the town manager,
Okay. Oh, I missed that note.
because I don't.
Oh,
know
now I
who
see
is.
it.
I mean, I don't know what would be, I mean, normally I would say a planner determines that, but I mean, it seems like something that would be a responsibility of the planner, but since we don't have one, unless you want to do it.
Either that, but it's not up to one individual to approve the application. It's gonna wind up going before, I believe, either the planning board or the select board.
So I think when you read through this out, you're right, and we talk about that in here down the road, but I think the town appointed officer would be similar to like when site plan applications get filed now, it goes to the CEO to determine, or to the planning board chair to determine if the application is complete before it actually goes to the full board. So I think this town appointed officer would work in that, in a similar function, in that they would receive the application, whoever this person is, review it to make sure that it meets, you know, the application filing standards, which is, you know, your fee, evidence of state approvals or conditional approvals, evidence of compliance. So further up on 10 where it says A, B, and C, I think they're making sure that the application meets those requirements before then passing it on to site plan review, select board, whomever's then going to review it.
So who should it be?
Code enforcement officer right now is who handles it, or if we had, you know, a planner, it would be that, the office of planning, which falls to the CEO. Hello, Carl. Welcome aboard.
Hi.
Probably the code enforcement officer at this point.
That's what I think. Subject to change of the wording at some point when we have a, you know, a different department to handle, or when we have a planner to handle it.
Well, no, but you go down to 11 and it says that would be the CEO is going to schedule a public hearing and arrange for the public notice and all that. That's not something that the code enforcement officer normally does.
The CEO / or town manager would schedule that. And I think that's what you have to put for all of it at this point, because we don't have a planner. So it would be and again, the CEO is only part-time, so it would either be the CEO / town manager for all those blanks, in my opinion.
We're on page 5, Carl. if you're-
I apologize for being late, and I probably can't stay long, so.
Okay, well, any place that has the town appointed officer, I will put CEO / town manager, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I think.
Okay,
Thank you, Scott, but why isn't it the planning board?
Why isn't it the planning board?
Hmm,
They're gonna end up coming to the planning board once the application is complete. Because they're gonna have to get approval. But this is, where does the application go first?
okay,
So that kind of leads me to my next thing, is that under 11, we talk about public hearing, and it talks about going to the select board, which is similar language to other towns. And there was a line in a couple other towns, which I think might make sense, is that there was language in, I think I pulled this from Damerscotta's, which said this public hearing before the Board of Selectmen is in addition to any public hearings that may be required before the planning board in accordance with the town's land use and site plan review standards.
Hmm.
Because really, I think it's going to go to both. You're going to have a hearing with the select board, because essentially this is your licensing. But for the actual land use portion, you're going to the planning board.
So
right,
then we need to have both of those in there.
okay.
And I think this, this one line where it talks about, in accordance with the town's land use and site plan review ordinances, then the applicant is aware like, oh, I need to go to that section of the land use ordinance where it talks about site plan review standards and what applies for site plan review and what doesn't in front of the planning board, rather than reiterating it in this ordinance.
Okay, and where is that section?
So I think, it starts on 11 public hearing, and I think that first paragraph ends at the top of page 6. And I
Yeah,
think that's where you could add that line. And Jackie, if it's helpful, I can send you these notes in just like a track changes Word document.
that would help a lot.
I didn't get that far today.
That's okay.
And
Yes.
then on that same section about public hearings, I was wondering if it made sense. So we talked about that it goes to the select board for them and that there would be a hearing in front of them, but we don't really talk about, and I don't know if it's required, but the standards in which the select board should be reviewing this application. So for example, let me see if I can pull this up. Here, Wiscasset, Damascotta talks about, in issuing or renewing licenses, the board, meaning the select board, shall give consideration to, and they list out specific standards for which
Right,
the board would look at these applications and determine if they meet the requirements. So both from the licensing, but I didn't know if this was necessary or if it's just redundant in this ordinance, but I figured I'd bring it up as something that I noticed in looking at a few other towns.
it's sort of similar to the liquor license application, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of like putting that in.
Okay. This is on page 4 of.
Yeah, so it's section, yep, I can tell you, it's section 903.72 of Damascotta's, and I'll email this to you, Jackie, as well.
Okay, thank you. Next,
So on 6, I was just going to comment that I like the idea of adding, you have the paragraph in red, adding that the select board reserves the right to hire an independent third-party consultant. I think that makes sense. I was curious what the rest of the committee thought.
They should.
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
put that in from somebody else's, from after the meeting last time.
And then I think, Anna, you may have brought this up at one of the other meetings, but on page 7, the ordinance starts to talk about residency requirements. So, whether they're a resident of the state of Maine and a resident of Wiscasset. And I don't know if those are legal. I don't know if we can restrict
There's a
retail
court-
licenses to only those people that either live in both Wiscasset and the state of Maine. I think we're not allowed to restrict.
There's a court case
residency
right now, and it basically said that. It was just a case this past week.
Oh,
So
really?
Yeah, so I don't think we can put a residency requirement in there at all.
No, we need to take it out.
I think, can we require state residency?
No.
Really?
That's correct. We cannot require it at the state or municipal level.
Because you're now restricting interstate commerce. That's what the court ruled. It was a restriction of interstate commerce.
Yeah. They put it in, like, if you look at the state law now, it's in there, but that's what cannot be enforced. That's what all you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay, the rest of them are okay?
The rest of what?
Under 14, the rest of the conditions there fails to meet the requirements, not at least 21, not a, if they had a license or registration revoked, has not required necessary state and local approvals, and has not been convicted of a disqualifying drug offense. Just leave those in.
Yeah, you can't have the residency.
Okay. Under 15. I took something out of, it was Bob Fonce's thing about failure to begin operation within 60 days and fully operational within 120 days. Do you want those conditions in?
No, because with the way the world is now, you might be waiting who knows how long to get your fixtures or your safe or whatever you're gonna need. You can't depend on the short-term
Okay.
acquiring of product anymore.
Okay. So then under 17, operating,
A has to come out.
right. There was something in I guess Damascata's, if the Board of Selectmen revokes the license, the licensee cannot reapply for a medical marijuana or adult use license as applicable for 3 years and will forfeit licensing and any other fees paid to the town. Does that make sense or not?
Yes.
Does to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will add that under where? Would that go under 15?
I think so.
Oh, or maybe it goes under 14, standards for approval, denial, or revocation.
I'd put it under 14. It makes more sense.
Okay. Emily, got more?
Do. So under 17B, I, on the top of page 8, I think there's just some missing words in the second line of that paragraph. So it says licensee shall not be permitted to operate marijuana establishments in other than the licensed permit premises. I didn't know if we meant, I wasn't sure what we meant. And then we say such as farmers markets, farm stands, or kiosks. But the sentence structure was worded a little strangely, and I didn't know if it was missing a word.
I think what she's looking to do is saying if you have a place, you can't then set up a stand somewhere else. You must operate only out of the licensed facility. That's the intended purpose of it.
Makes sense to me, but
I just think there's, like you say, it's not worded properly, but the intent was
Mhm.
that, hey, if you have a license, you can only operate out of your licensed facility.
Right,
nowhere else.
right.
well, I don't know how else you would word it.
Well, wouldn't you
Only in the
say-
licensed premise rather than in other than the licensed premise?
Shall
Or
only
I'm
be-
not sure.
shall
It's just,
The license shall only be permitted to operate marijuana established in the licensed premises. No. In licensed premises, period. You don't have to say such as other places, because they can only operate out of the facility that was, out of the physical facility that was licensed.
I think
that's
it's
true, because
good
the
that-
first sentence also says that the licensed premise will be a fixed permanent location, which would then mean you wouldn't be able to operate at a farmer market, farm stand, or kiosk.
Okay.
And then my only other comment or question is on, and we kind of already covered it, is on page 13 where we break down the costs for the license fees. I didn't know if that was something that's similar to that application fee. Should we, instead of putting a number there, do we put set by, you know, or established under the fee schedule rather than a number?
Shouldn't have a number there. It should be by the Board of Selectmen as per everything else. And those are sky high numbers that'll drive the businesses away. But we resolved back to the last thing on page 8, we resolved the III earlier. That was the thing I had brought up, which we just skimmed over it. So that has to,
Right. And I've forgotten how we did that.
that was the discussion about anywhere on Route 1 commercial other than within the downtown districts and 1,000 feet from the churches, town office, schools, houses of worship, and existing childcare nurseries. And would be along Route 27, the same thing for the testing and for the cultivation.
Okay, somewhere along the line. Emily gave us the zones.
It was the Village 1, the Village 2. What am I missing?
Yeah, Gardner Road.
It was Village 1 and Village 2, and then overlay that with the 1,000 feet from many of the above named buildings, facilities.
Okay, I've got it. I'm taping this, so I'll get it.
It would be 1,000 feet once you got above those so-called in-village zones. And then it would be overlaid by 1,000 feet from the town office, the courthouse, the churches, the high school, the community center.
Okay, we're gonna put the courthouse and churches in there too.
Yeah, definitely churches. It's any house of worship.
Okay. All right. Setbacks, okay?
I thought the 1,000 feet is what we came to agree upon.
Sounds right.
And then we discussed this last time about the property from property line to property line. Well, we sort of discussed it, didn't come to a decision, but I put in, that was from like maybe Damascotta's.
I almost think it would be from building to building because some pieces might be very large and it'll, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I would make it from building to building. It's an easier way to figure it.
I don't care.
Building to building seems easy.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Okay, wait, but now that I said that, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. And I hope this example makes sense because I'm less familiar with Wiscasset than some of you. What about if one of the schools has a really large play field or something like that, and the building's not on the play field? And there's a property directly next to the play field. Could someone in theory set up a building on the edge of the play field as long as it was 1,000 feet from the actual school building, because it seems like we would not want that.
Right,
Yeah. Good point. Yes.
but we do say within 1,000 feet of the ball
You could-
fields
you
and
could-
playgrounds.
Oh.
Anyway,
You could just put within 1,000 feet of any school or auxiliary facility, so a playground is part of the school.
yeah,
It
that's
would
all.
have to be 1,000 feet from the playground.
Okay.
It would have to be 1,000 feet from the track and field track, that's part of the facility.
So you don't want to leave property line to property line there. then. Does that do the same thing? So,
Or are all property lines well defined? Are there any places out there that haven't been surveyed?
Oh, yes,
Plenty that haven't been.
many.
So it may be a hard time finding that property line.
but we say 1,000 feet from ball fields, municipal building, schools, public preschools, childcare facilities.
Churches, no, houses of worship, excuse me.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, or municipal safe zone, ball field, or the municipal building. So it says it 1,000 feet from all those anyway, so we don't really need it.
I
I
think
mean,
we're
is that
covered.
sufficient?
I think we're covered.
Okay. So then under Romanet 2 there, we take that out.
Was that a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
You're talking 2 on page 8,
yeah,
II?
D, Romanet 2, those little things are Romanets.
Okay.
Doesn't that just clarify it further?
That's fine, leave it in, and then you just go from line to line where they can find the line.
Yeah,
No matter how you do it, it's a juggle.
you got more, Emily?
That was it for me,
Oh, okay.
for tonight anyway.
Send me some of those things, then I will put them in.
Anybody else have any opinions on this? Any suggestions, any changes? Carl?
I have not had a chance to delve into it. Today was a day robbed from me, so
You look tired, Carl.
it was a day of unexpecteds, even for a Monday. I had to take my wife to urgent care, so
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, hopefully she's comfortable now and hopefully we'll get better.
We'll give her our best.
I will.
Anything else on the marijuana ordinance from anybody? Jackie, if you'll reconfigure all the things we throw at you tonight, and if Emily will send you over the corrections from her part to paste in, we'll all look at it again and we'll discuss it approximately 2 weeks from now.
Okay. I will do that.
Anybody else have anything for other business?
I think Susan has her hand. up.
Carl, we not,
I-
we elected Al as vice chair. If you weren't here.
I expected that. Good choice.
And it's
Hi
slid down
there.
to the
Yeah.
agenda.
Hi there. Yeah, Jackie, I know was gonna send me that draft that was being reviewed tonight much earlier in the meeting. I didn't receive it. And yeah, and so Anna has tried to, through the chat, get me it through Google, but so far no luck on that.
Oh.
Or is it letting me access it? So I don't know. if
Yes, I'm
you're able to
sorry.
try Setting again, Jackie.
It's, yes, it's coming.
I just sent it to you, Susan. See if that
Oh.
comes through.
Oh, thank you.
Now you'll get 2 copies.
And it's
Um,
gonna be revised and
okay.
you'll
I
get the
see Jackie.
revised edition.
Right, yeah, but at least I can look at what you guys were all looking at as a starting point based on what you're saying and stuff, so that's awesome. And I got Jackie's, I'm probably gonna get, and I got Sarah's, so I should be in good shape. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Anna, too, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Without that, at 6:34, I make my favorite motion that we adjourn. Is there a
I
second?
second.
Everybody raise their hands and wave goodbye. Good night all. Thank you very much for your time.
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Have a good week, everybody.
For a second. No, never mind. I'll catch up with you.
Do you have planning board tonight or no?
No,
No.
Okay. Thanks.
Who did you want to catch up with, Carl?
I'll catch up with Al about planning board later.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Good luck with your wife.
Thank you.